All right, welcome in. Thank you for joining us on the Lady Raider Report here from the Double T Sports Network alongside Chuck Hines, the radio color analyst for Lady Raider basketball, and myself, Jamie Lent, bringing you another Lady Raider Report. And unfortunately, Chuck, not the best of times right now for the Lady Raiders. It has been a little bit of a struggle, 12-6 overall, but 1-4 in conference play. You won that first conference game against Houston, but since then, it's been 4 straight losses.
Yeah, and I think the slide started New Year's Day, when you played Arizona State and went to Tempe. And I think going into that game, the thought was, this is one that you have to have, especially if you're trying to get to 8 or 9 wins and get to the NCAA tournament, knowing that you were going to go to Kansas State and that you're going to have West Virginia and you're going to have Iowa State and also TCU thrown in there. So you didn't get that win, and it was somber after that game. And you went to Manhattan and had a game plan and thought that there were some things that you could do against them, and you did do some nice things.
Played a lot better than you did against Arizona State.
Played a lot better in the first half. It was, I think, a 6-point game at the half, and then they came on and just put it on you in the second half. I mean, what can you say about K-State? I mean, they're strong. They're
dominant inside presence.
Dominating, Aoka Lee, and then everything else that they've got there. So, and then you get stranded in Manhattan because of a 15-inch snowstorm and don't get out of there until Tuesday afternoon. That's not why you played so poorly against West Virginia. West Virginia, like their men's team over the years, just tenaciously known for having just unbelievable defense, and they put it on you. And they were smaller than K-State, but you just had no answers for them.
Yeah, no question there. 89-53 was the final on Wednesday night against West Virginia. It felt like, to me, Chuck, that was kind of the low point of the season, just because there was a little bit of wondering, okay, is everybody all in here? There's definitely a lot of questions. Are they willing to fight to get things figured out? You move on to Saturday, 69-43, you lose to TCU. But I think in that first quarter, right off the bat, you showed that there was still plenty of fight left in this team. You trailed by just 1 and entering the second.
Absolutely, and Coach Gerlich made it clear in shoot-around that she wanted people that wanted to be there and, play with a chip on your shoulder. And, certainly the leader of that team, Bailey Maupin, did. I mean, she played a very hard, 39 minutes of basketball or whatever she played. And the problem is you need more of her.
No doubt.
And you got to make some shots because in the second quarter you got 5 points.
Yeah.
And then you got a new low in terms of what you've done in a quarter in the fourth and only scored fourth. Now, TCU they're an older team. They've got 24, 22, 21. I mean, I think the oldest player on Texas Tech is 22. That's not why you lost the game. You lost the game because they're more talented. And Sedona Prince is just an absolute beast. And Haley Van Lith is all she's led up to be, and they've got others as well. I thought the fight was better against TCU than it was against, obviously, West Virginia. While the low point is West Virginia, I think the real true low point goes back to Arizona State. Yeah, just because that was a game that you really thought that you could win, and you should have won because you had open shots that you didn't make.
Turnovers have been a huge problem for this team. 3 straight games. Not the last one against TCU, but 3 straight games. You had over 20 turnovers. 3 straight games they had 20 or more points off of Lady Raider turnovers. It was nice to see that get cleaned up a little bit on Saturday, but this still really continues to be a huge issue for this squad.
Taking care of the basketball?
So, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a huge initiative for them. I mean, to the point where, hey, job security is ball security. That's the mantra. And while they did do a better job,
good one.
Yeah, right,
like
right. Yeah. So they took that to heart, against TCU. The problem with the TCU game was making shots. I mean, and that has been a problem with this team. I mean, they felt like going in that they were going to be a better shot making team than they were a year ago. They're certainly a more talented team than they were a year ago. But man, in Big 12 play, you haven't proven it so far. And that's and making baskets is. It's not necessarily rule number 1 for Dr. Naismith, but it's right up there.
Yeah, no doubt. So 22% from the floor on Saturday against TCU, just 2 of 17 from 3-point range. you're really just not going to win many games like that unless you have some sort of suffocating defense. So, Chuck, as you look at it right now, how do you get? We'll talk about Bailey Maupin here in a minute, but how do you get more players involved? I mean, what needs to have happen with this offense right now?
You need Jada Wynn to make some shots. You need Adley Blacklock when she comes into the game to bury some threes, because she's got such a quick release, and then that loosens things up. And they aren't the only two, but really, I was going to say number one on the list is going to be Jazz Shaver. She went 1 for 9 against TCU, and you absolutely need her scoring. I mean, she's your leading scorer, but there's times when she's not, and she's kind of just. It would, the ideal thing would be if Maupin and Shavers could score, I don't know, 18 to 20 points a game. That'd be close to 40 points between the two of them. Well, then you don't need Jada Wynn to make 5 threes or Adley Blacklock to make 3 threes, or you've got Jalen Bristow, you got Sarah Sonogo, who inside has some nice touches, but you've missed too many shots in the paint.
Yeah.
Where your shot's been affected because of the defense of the other team, or you've allowed it to get inside your head to affect your shot, or you've just missed bunnies because sometimes they've been so open that they've shot the ball so hard off the glass that you don't even hit the rim, or you don't get the second chance points. So I'd like to see more consistency out of Kyla Freelon. She's your leading offensive rebounder, but you need her to be able to stay in the game so she can get 17, 18 minutes. And then the other thing is you need more from Jordan Merritt, and you didn't have her on Saturday. It's not why you lost the ball game, but her size, her experience, her ability to make some shots, get some rebounds, get some steals, all those things. It's all these little things. It all adds up, and it creates this mountain that you have had a hard time overcoming.
Yeah, it felt like coming into the season, you knew that you had a primary and a secondary scorer in Bailey Maupin and Jasmine Shavers, and that you were hoping, okay, the key for this team is somebody needs to step up as that third consistent scorer. And right now, you just have one consistent scorer, with Jazz Shaver struggling with her shot a little bit. And when that, you don't want to put too much on Jazz here, but when that happens, it feels like other people trying to do too much. You're trying to mix up the lineup a little bit. And when you're not able to rely on the things that you thought you were going to rely on, and you feel bad for Jazz because she plays so hard, ton of heart there. She's just in one of those stretches that all basketball players, or most basketball players, go through, where they're just not shooting the ball well, and sometimes that causes you to lose your confidence a little bit. I mean, you hate to see it, but like when you don't have one of those girls that hey, we can count on her to do this, and she's not able to do it, it just throws everything off.
The trickle down goes way off the mark. Another person that you'd really like to see maybe score a little bit more, because defensively she's really, really tough, as Logan Johnson. And there have been times when...
Plus she brings so much energy.
She does. I mean, and it's like I think in the West Virginia game, she drew 4 fouls. She played 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's great.
And
shows aggression.
And she's known for stealing the ball. She did foul out against TCU on Saturday. But if she could make a few more shots, particularly when they're driving. And I think the main thing for this team, and especially in Big 12 play, and maybe even in the late stages of the non-conference, it's been too tentative. It's like, make your passes with authority, make your shots shoot with confidence, or just do whatever it is that you think you should do the first time, and quit thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's some of that's going on too, and all of those things happen when you get on a losing streak, right?
Yep.
And when you're playing tougher teams.
No doubt. I mean, you lose that game to get Arizona State, and you're probably dealing with confidence issues and all that, and you come back with 3 straight games against top 17 teams or whatever. That's a recipe for having a rough stretch, and that's exactly what we've seen.
And so you were trying to avoid the 1-5 start in Big 12 play, because it really puts you behind the 8 ball. When you start thinking about it, because then you have all these questions that go into your head, and you're trying to avoid that. So, opportunity, this week with Iowa State and with BYU at home on Saturday. That was a really disappointing loss last year in Provo. So you hope that you can kind of get things turned around. I think more than anything else, just play better basketball, because there's a lot of season left. That's no reason to kind of throw everything away yet. You've still got 13 games plus the tournament.
Of basketball left.
Yeah, so there's there's still a lot left. You just got to get yourself right, I think from a mindset more than anything else.
Yeah, one girl that's definitely doing that is Bailey Maupin. Bailey had 23 of your 39 points this past Saturday against TCU. She scored 20 or more in 5 of the last 7 games. She's really, really been terrific of late.
Well, and she put that team on her back this past weekend, and with TCU. I mean, I know she didn't shoot the ball very well, but goodness, I mean, she played as hard as you can play against a team. I mean, and she took a really hard blocked shot from Sedona Prince, who's just, she's 6'7", and she basically posterized Bailey and basically put her to the floor. I mean, it's not something that you see very often in women's basketball. One player, though, that I think we're starting to kind of see what she can do a little bit, and you hope that she can do more, is Maya Pete, because she's had a double-figure game. She's calling for the ball in the paint. She's got a nice touch around the basket. You just need to get more minutes out of her if you can.
Yep, that would be absolutely big. Well, as Chuck mentioned, 2 games coming up on the schedule this week. Lady Raiders will play Iowa State Tuesday this week. They're 12-6, 3-2 in conference play. And then on Saturday, Lady Raiders will battle BYU. That one at home, 10-6. They're just 1-4 in Big 12 action. So a couple opportunities here against teams that, Iowa State on the road. We know how difficult it is to go win at Hilton. That would be a tough one, no doubt. But this game on Saturday for the Lady Raiders definitely feels like you got a good chance in that contest against BYU.
Yeah, and they'll have an alumni weekend. They'll have a lot of former Lady Raiders there, so hopefully they can kind of feel the vibe. But again, this week against Iowa State, you have another player that I'm going to go to her graduation just to make sure she goes, and that's Emily Ryan. It'd be great to see her graduate as well, along with all these J.J. Quinterly at West Virginia, Aoka Lee at Kansas State. It's just Serena Sandell at Kansas State.
Great conference with a lot of great players, no question. Mm-hmm. So obviously the Lady Raiders are trying to get there themselves. So good luck this week, Chuck.
Thanks.
You're trying to get off the end of that 4-game losing streak, and seems like Tuesday night at Iowa State would be a great time to do that.
Absolutely.
This has been the Lady Raider Report, brought to you by the Double T's Sports Network.